can't hush in the MMA finest. We're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers. We aim for the skies. Into the octagon like a warrior I stand. Slaying blows, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast. Locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling like a golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast. Locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling like a golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D. Rose.
Oh, well. Didn't take that off the screen. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D. Rose is on that side of your screen, and we hope you are all having a fantastic week this week. We got a UFC pay-per-view this weekend, and not going to lie, it ain't the best one, but, you know, we got some fights this weekend. D. Rose, how you doing this week, man?
We're doing pretty good, man. You know, as you said, some pretty good fights coming up this weekend, so pretty good fights. Let's just leave it at that. Maybe not pay-per-view standard, but good weekend this past weekend. And I'll say, you know, I've been kind of hush on FanDuel for a little bit because I hadn't had too good of a week the last couple of weeks. But I sent you a couple best slips, man. I actually had one of the better weekends that I had in a while gambling. So was able to get my account up pretty good this past weekend off of $25. Won essentially $200 off you know, multiple parlays, multiple underdogs. So yeah, had a good weekend and hoping to keep the momentum going into this weekend too. So my FanDuel account is as happy as it's been in a long time, which is saying something.
That's good, man. That's good to hear. With that being said, on today's show, me and D. Rose will recap this past weekend's UFC Saudi Arabia card. We'll give you what UFC news and fight announcements there are. Not a lot here this week, so not going to be a long section of the show this week. And then lastly, we'll close out the show with our UFC 312 Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. 2 predictions, picks, and any early bets we might have. But yeah, before we all do all that, let's go ahead and shout out the chat. Since y'all are already here, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Let's go ahead and shout out Austin first. Happy Wednesday, mi amigos. Hope everyone is having a decent week. Looking forward to the stream tonight. Shout out, Austin. Appreciate you stopping by here tonight. And we got Lush, Low Main, another Golden Wednesday with the boys. Shout out, Lush, for making it tonight. Hope you're having a good week, Lush. And Austin saying good to see Lush as well.
Yes,
we got Antoine here. Yo, what's good, boys? I'm at the Spurs game, Spurs versus Hawks game right now.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Shout out, Antoine. Hope you're having a good time, brother. After last night, Verna, thanks to you. Yeah, I sent Dave some cards. Also, bro, Jimmy Butler is a Warrior now. Yeah, that actually happened a few minutes ago. Jimmy Butler got traded to Golden State.
Well, I'm a Mavericks fan, so I'm still upset about Luka Doncic getting traded. I'm still upset about that. To a certain extent, I still think it's fake. Like there's this, the NBA has been trying to get wild with these trades here lately.
Yeah, shout out Dave. Glad you won some money this past weekend too. So with that being said, we'll get into our recap from the fights this past weekend. And yeah, sounds like everyone won some money. besides me, D Rose, because I shared my like safety parlay this past weekend, and I believe it would have hit if Sergey Pavlovich would have done his job, dude. But um, dude, I am lost for words. I think Tom Aspinall broke Sergey Pavlovich, dude. It's like he is scared to put his foot on the gas at this point, because ever since he's been like knocked out like that, he will not go for it. And that goes another fight. Sergey Pavlovich goes to decision, and we're all standing there with our hands up, like, what the hell? I know, probably besides you, because you probably bet Sergey. Well, actually, no, you picked Jairzinho there, but I think you did Jairzinho via decision. So if you picked the over, wasn't a bad bet. But yeah, let's get into this card. I'm going to start at the prelims real quick and just run through the prelims, because it was honestly some pretty decent prelims this past weekend. Hamdi versus Jamal Pogues. I see a lot of people saying that robbery. They thought Jamal Pogues won that fight. I don't know. I thought Hamdi won that fight, but I also picked Hamdi to win that fight. So maybe a little bias. It is what it is. Bogdangrad versus Lucas Alexander. Bogdangrad with the second round knockout. I don't think a lot of people saw that one coming. D Rose did pick Bogdangrad to win that fight. He did pick him by submission, but he still gets the finish. So shout out D Rose for that one. Jazz does defeat Mario Bueno Silva via decision, dude. During this fight, I actually don't ever tweet, dude. I got on X and I tweeted, I cannot believe Mario Bueno Silva fought for a title, dude. It was like the second round, dude. When she's in the cage, she looks like she's in pain. I just don't know how to explain it. She's like walking, and it just looks like when I get out of bed in the mornings and my back hurts. I'm like, she just doesn't look like a smooth fighter, like on the feet, even in the slightest. I don't know. But Jazz gets it done via decision. Terrence McKinney gets a first round knockout, dude. I was on Terrence McKinney round 1 sub. I knew the fight was going to the ground because Damir Hadzovich's takedown defense is absolutely awful. But T-Rex went for a few chokes, but Damir was kind of fighting out and kind of just went to okay, I'm just going to ground and pound you. So T-Rex gets the first round knockout. The Blob, Shamil Gaziev, knocks out Thomas Peterson in the first round as well. Muhammad Naimov does get the decision win over Khan Offley. And in the main card, Fares EM does defeat Mike Davis, dude. But this was a fight that I was like, Mike Davis, first of all, walking out, dude, I knew I had already lost the bets that I had made. His face just looked like blank. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he just didn't look like he was ready to fight. It was just odd. Like he just looked really pale. Then he got in the octagon, did a backflip. So I was like, all right, maybe he's all right. Fight starts. Mike Davis pulls guard immediately, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck me, right? Like I guess I'm not winning this bet. And then at some point, I believe it was the second round, Mike Davis had Fares EM in this nasty calf slicer, knee bent all kinds of crazy directions, and nothing happened, dude. Fares EM super flexible. I think Mike Davis, I think round 2 was closer, but Fares EM still won round 2 probably, or I don't even know. And then round 3, a lot of more of the same. Mike Davis trying to pull guard, but he ends up getting on top there at the end, dropping a few elbows and, finally doing some damage. But I don't know what was up with Mike Davis this past weekend in Saudi Arabia. I know you did pick Fares EM, so I know you're happy with that one. We got Loke Dog Vinicius Oliveira versus Said Nurmagomedov. Loke Dog does win via decision, dude. And I don't want to toot our own horns, D Rose, but I think I did third round knockout was my guess, but me and you were both on the same page. Was Saeed's gonna gas in this fight, and you do not gas with Loke Dog Vinicius Oliveira in front of you, dude, because he will put the pressure on you. And as we saw this past weekend, dude, Loke Dog went out there and did the damn thing. He's a problem. I actually made an edit. Hopefully a few of you saw that. That actually took about few hours, but well worth the time. Shout out Loke Dog Vinicius Oliveira. Sergey Pavlovich, Darzinho Rosenstruck. Sergey wins via decision. That shit sucked, dude. I was mad watching that fight, and then we'll get into some news about that fight after as well. MVP wins via Sharabullet Magomedov. Maybe some more news after this fight as well, but MVP looked good, dude. And I saw, I think I was just worried how he was going to look at 185, but he looked good at 185. No issue there at all. The extra weight didn't affect him, even in the slightest. And in the main event, the most heartbreaking feeling, DJ's reaction was just basically all of our reactions, dude. It's just like, I cannot believe that just happened. Nasruddin wins 30 seconds into the second round via knockout, dude. And right before the knockout happened, Izzy got eye poked. I see a lot of people making the Alex Pereira. I like the reference, like, why did he try to be Alex Pereira there? But I do get it, but I just wish he would have taken the time, get your vision back, dude. Recover, just reset. But it's like there was no time. Nasruddin was right in his face. First punch he threw just knocked him clean out. And it's like, come on, Izzy. And then it's just like Nasruddin just followed up with clean ground and pound. I have no gripes about the finish. I thought it was a good finish. I just hate that it happened, to be honest. But yeah, that's my recap for the whole card this past weekend. So feel free to give me anything that you would like to talk about from UFC Saudi, D-Rose.
Yeah, I'll start from the main event and work my way down. But yeah, as you said, just the most heartbreaking feeling was watching Izzy get knocked out like that, man. Just because, we both had, high hopes for him coming into the fight. And looking in the first round, I mean, Izzy looked great in the first round. He was defending the takedowns pretty well. And, he was landing that jab. He, throwing the leg kick nice. I mean, to me, I'm going to say it looked like Nasruddin got a little nervous a little early. And it definitely looked like he was desperate to get the takedown to the point to where at the end of the first round, like, he's breathing pretty heavy. Now, I will say Izzy's breathing was a little heavier than what I'm used to seeing him early on in a fight like that. It looked like Nasruddin was pushing a pretty high pace there, but Nasruddin was getting a little tired. But I am with you. I just wish that Izzy had taken some time to, recover from that eye poke. Now, listening to Izzy after the fight explain it, he said that he wanted to keep the pressure on him because he could sense that Imavov was getting tired. But, dude, you literally have, because that was, 10 seconds into the second round? You literally have 4 more rounds to do that. You can take a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, 30 seconds, just something, whatever you need. But because I heard Israel, one of his coaches in an interview afterwards had said that, smart fighters tend to, if there's a break in the action with the ref, some fighters will basically be right up on the ref. And as soon as they're ready to break the action, they get right after it. And that was almost what Imavov did. Not to say that it was a dirty tactic, because it was a smart tactic, because Izzy was willing to, keep trying to push through. Well, okay, yeah, even though you just got eye poked, you were given the leisure of choosing if you wanted to take a break or not, and you didn't, and you ended up getting caught. But the overall for me, I just think that, Izzy just doesn't take damage as well as he used to either, man. There's just been a lot more times here recently where, obviously the Strickland fight, he got dropped in that fight. I felt like in the Dricus fight, he took a lot more damage and he got stumbled quite a few more times than what I'm used to seeing him. And then now in this fight, man, I mean, that right hand from Imavov was clean, but it's just tough to see Izzy like that take brutal damage. I know he's not going to retire. At this point, for me, it's just what else do you have to prove? But he doesn't have to fight the top guys anymore. I guess I can just say that because he's been there, done that, won the title over and over again. I can ramble on forever about it. But yeah, I just think that overall Izzy just needs to kind of take a step back, take a break. Doesn't need to fight the top guys anymore. No, he's probably going to get one more in, but if he was to retire, I wouldn't be upset with it. But moving on to the co-main event, for me, MVP looked to me, that was kind of the capstone of the night to say that speed was the real advantage for a lot of those fights. I think Nasruddin was a lot faster than Izzy, and then MVP. I mean, he just looked, even though he's much older than Shara, just looked a whole different class of speed, faster than Shara was. I mean, he was just one step ahead of him with that karate style, that darting in and out. He was really frustrating Shara with that as well. MVP kind of slipped up, and he was this close to landing that flying knee. When he kind of fakes the punch, the fighter goes to duck, and MVP just kind of flies up with that knee. I hate that he hasn't been able to deliver a highlight knockout yet, but that's similar to what MVP put on. I was really surprised that a lot of people said the fight was boring. I didn't think the fight was necessarily boring. I thought it was a good fight. I mean, that wasn't a barn burner, no. Now, people who bet Shara, are you going to be pissed off about it? Yeah, I'm sure you are, because you bet Shara. I didn't bet a winner in that fight. I just bet that fight to start the third round. I was not comfortable either way, and I just didn't. I didn't necessarily trust Shara to get the dub, but I did actually think that he would go in there and try to do some type of wrestling. I was really surprised, man, because if you're going to give MVP that type of space to work, he's just going to do his thing every time, man. So he looked really good. Sergey and Jairzinho, just an absolute stinker. I don't even have to say any more about that. Just an absolute stinker. Loke Dog, Lock Dog. I know they call him Lock Dog, but Loke Dog, come on, man. It's got to be Loke Dog. Man, he's going to be a problem, man, down at bantamweight. And crazy to say, like, even though Saeed's been in the UFC longer and has had more UFC experience, like, dude, Vinicius at this point has had 25 fights. Like, dude, he's well experienced. He's 22-3, and dude, he just goes in there. He kind of has like he reminds me of Yuri because he keeps his hands down, but then he also reminds me of Drakus because his punches are just so like not normal, but they are effective and they hurt people. And he's super athletic. He's just got his hands down the whole time. But dude, his head's just out of the way, so he's not taking big shots. He's fast. He's powerful. So yeah, Lock Dog, man. I'm going to be front and center for whenever he fights next, man. He's a super exciting fighter. So I'm going to be excited to watch him.
Thank you. I said, do we have a problem? Huh?
Sorry, I had to, but only because you're like, he's the absolute problem, and then you're like, his head movement. I'm like, I have to play it now.
Yeah, nah, got to for Loke Dog, not Lock Dog, Loke Dog. So yeah, nah, that dude's the beast, man. I'm gonna love watching him fight. I'm not gonna lie, I was at work. I went back and watched some of the highlights of the Fairziam Mike Davis fight, but kind of overall, kind of what I thought was going to be Fairziam by decision. I just think Mike Davis is having a lot of time off in between fights. Him just kind of fighting just for the hell of it and not really dedicating himself to it. Not to say he needs to fight 3 times a year, but man, I think ring rust is a real thing. And when you're coming in and facing a guy like Fairziam, who's kind of been on a roll, he's been active, stuff like that, it's just going to be tough for Mike Davis to just kind of pop in, year or so out of the ring and expect to get good results against tough guys like that. But Shamil Gaziev, good KO. Didn't really need to say anymore. Terrence McKinney, I wanted to get that sub. I did have him bet by sub in a small little parlay. So I wish he had gotten that, but hey, all good. Much needed dub. And Jasmine Jasovicius, man, she's just continuing her role down at flyweight, man. She's been a problem for a little bit now. Well, I think that's 4 wins in a row, and I think 6 out of her last 7 or something like that. I believe I heard in her fight. So yeah, she's been on the roll here lately, man. Mario Bueno Silva, as I told you, because you said the same thing to me. I can't believe MBS fought for a title. She also fought for a title in the absolute worst women's division possible after Amanda Nunes decided to step away from the sport. So, yeah, MBS got a title at 135, but we also saw how Rocky basically just bullied her for the last 3.5 rounds of that fight. So, yeah, I think Mario Bueno Silva, she has talent because she is. I will give her credit I know you said her fight style is kind of a little bit like stiff, but she does she sits on her punches and she does go for it, but she just continually gasses and she just seems to always make just weird decisions or just bad decisions and at bad times, or leaves herself real open to either get taken down or for like a counter punch or something like that, man. She just leaves herself open for the other fighter to counter her. And of course, Jazz, with her style, she's going to smother just about anybody. So good win for Jazz. Bogdan Grad, again, I wanted the sub, but as you saw, I did bet him in a parlay. I had him in a separate parlay by submission. Unfortunately, that didn't hit, but hey, it's all good. But I did expect that to happen. And then for Hamdi and Jamal Pogues, I did think Jamal Pogues won that fight. Even though I did pick Hamdi, I thought Jamal Pogues won that fight. So that was a little bit of home cooking in my opinion on that one. But
we gotta expect that, right?
That's my recap.
We gotta expect it.
Yeah.
We in Saudi.
Well, honestly, I expected it for Loke Dog and Saeed. I thought they were going to give Saeed the first.
Dude, there was no chance. That shit wasn't even close.
I was waiting on it though, dude. Renat Fakhretdinov got one of the worst robbers I've ever seen in my life. So, and it was at Saudi as well. So I would not be, or it was over in that region. So I would not be surprised.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what you guys got to say. Dave said, I won off the safety parlay. I tweaked it a little bit, though. I'm glad you won, Dave, because Sergey Pavlovich fucked me. I knew it was over as soon as Davis immediately jumped guard. Same. Buy low or sell high on Izzy cards. Amen. Really, I am not the person to ask on that. I have no idea. What's his legacy? Still one of my favorites of all time. One of the most entertaining. Got to be in your top 2 of all time at middleweight. I mean, Anderson and Izzy. That's the only 2. And indeed, we do have some clips. So, with that being said, I guess we'll jump into our news for the week, D-Rose. So let me share the screen. Well, I guess before we start sharing the screen, so I'll do this. Let's jump into kind of the news from this past card real quick, because from this past card, we had, come on, you thing. Main card. There we go. After the card, Jairzinho Rozenstruik is now cut from the UFC. What's your thoughts on that, D-Rose?
To me, I would like to see a little bit more. It's pretty convenient after this fight happens to say that it was because that this fight happened that he ended up getting cut. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of those scenarios to where Jairzinho just ended up fighting out his contract, or he just ended up asking for his release afterwards. Because, I mean, at this point, Jairzinho has had his chance. He climbed the ranks of the UFC. I got to the point to where he was in a number 1 contender fight. Got himself to that position a couple of different times. Fell short. I'm sure he probably wants more opportunity in terms of making more money, and UFC doesn't see him as that guy. So, not too surprised to see him cut, because he's been a middle and heavyweight for, let's say, the last 3 or 4 years. So he's just kind of been middle in there for no reason. And he's put up enough boring fights to where UFC couldn't justify paying him big money to bring him back.
Yeah, I'm still upset that we didn't, and right off of Dave right here, I'm still upset that we never got Derek Lewis versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, man. That was one fight that I just kind of wish we just would have got to see, Could have been ass, but, could have been a banger as well,
Yeah, I mean, we also thought the same thing about Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, and that was literally one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life. So I think Jairzinho has put up enough stinkers at this point now to know that he is very capable for a boring fight.
Yeah, and the other news from this card, D-Rose, is I saw something come out where Cheryl Bullitt said that he might be done because of what some Saudi doctors told him over there about his eye, and they don't think it's healthy for him to continue to keep fighting, and he can't fight in the U.S. because no commission will, approve him to fight. So if Sharabullah is done, would it surprise you? And do you think this is true, him maybe considering retirement or not?
Well, I did see a thing as well where he had said that he had some underlying health issues coming into the fight. Some, I don't know if it was like a digestional issue or whatever the case may be, but whatever, he had some internal issue coming into the fight, and then obviously us knowing about his eye. I mean, you can look at his eye clear as day and say that that dude is blind in one eye. Like, and if anybody sees a dog or a cat like that, they know immediately. Like, yeah, that they're blind. So that's exactly how he is, and he's still a talented fighter. In terms of the striking, but I would not be surprised if he was to walk away, because I would understand how an injury like that, or not an injury, but just a health concern like that would concern people to have you fighting moving forward.
Indeed. So, with that being said, we'll jump into what news I can find for the week.
I did want to ask you real quick while you
What's
ended up pulling it up. I know it's kind of a slow news week. I know a little bit of the topic, and I mentioned it to you as well. But do you think that Izzy, 3 losses in a row, like I said, taking a little bit of damage, he's getting finishing fights now? Do you think he should retire?
I don't think so, but that's just me, because it's almost like he's been winning. Aside from the Sean Strickland fight, I feel like he was beating Dricus. I feel like he clearly won the first round, and it's just these little mistakes that is just just little things that they just need to be improved on, or just make it not happen. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just biased because I'm an Izzy fan. But let's jump into the rest of the news for the week. Let's see what we got here. Let's just start here. We got Ilya saying that he plans on staying at 145, so he's going to fight Volk again. He doesn't want to fight Volk again because he knows he's just going to knock him out, but he will fight Volk again. What's your thoughts there?
I mean, I did see a thing where, of course, I think we had saw where Bo Nickel had stated that on some podcast, I don't know if it's his podcast or another podcast that he was on, but that Volk and Ilya was supposed to be for one of the UFC pay-per-views coming up in Miami. I believe it's in April. And so when they said that, I also saw a thing where they said that there's a potential that it could be Islam versus Ilya. So I was like, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that fight, but I think if it's at 145, that seemed like it was always going to be that way the whole time. I can understand how Ilya wouldn't want that fight because it wouldn't be as exciting. He just fought the guy not too long ago. But and 145's kind of got some, contenders right now. You look at Mazar, you look at Diego Lopez. I mean, 2 dudes who you could say, well deserves next. And Volk's already on a 2-fight losing streak. So, but I think in order to kind of do right by Volk, for Volk stepping up for the UFC on a number of occasions to save a few cards, I think the UFC is going to do right by him and give Volk that rematch.
Fair enough. I'm just going to run through a few of these. Looks like Dana says he's got a big fight in the works for Islam. What do you think that is off the top of your head?
Man, like I said, they're talking about potentially Ilya versus Islam. I mean, Islam's kind of stated that he doesn't want to. I mean, he hasn't said flatly that he wouldn't fight Bilal Muhammad, but he's kind of, he's avoided the 170-pound title talk for a little bit since Bilal's been the champ. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did end up moving up Ilya, just because I'm not going to lie. Do I want that fight next? No. But would I be excited for that fight? Hell yeah, I would be excited for that fight.
Indeed. Looks like Patty's got some fight news coming up as well. I think that's Chandler, right?
Yeah, I know. There's been kind of rumors on the internet about it being Patty versus Michael Chandler, and Patty Pimblett on one of his videos ended up leaving a comment at the end saying, "See you at the top." Of course, the famous slogan for Michael Chandler. So yeah, and that would be, I believe it would be a pretty damn good fight if that is to happen as well.
Indeed. Hamzat gets his UAE passport, man. So looks like his troubles getting in the U.S. might go away soon since he don't have the. I think he had some kind of refugee passport from Sweden, so I don't think he had the easiest time getting in and out of the U.S. Because of that. But he's got a UAE passport now. Let's see here. What else do we have? That's unfortunately, is he getting knocked out? Oh, look at that. And now look, Dana White confident Khamzat can travel to the U.S. now. Wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dana said, I heard him make that comment after his post-fight press conference for the fights this past Saturday. And yeah, he said he knows some people. Yeah,
I bet. Let's see here. Looks like everybody's got big fight news coming. Let's see here. What's your thoughts on the whole Bryce Mitchell thing, D Rose? I addressed it Friday.
The dude's just an absolute idiot. I mean, this is the flat earther,
the nut driller,
and obviously everybody knows. Yeah, the nut driller. Everybody knows about that. So in terms of anything, in terms of that extreme topic level, everybody knows not to take Bryce Mitchell serious on anything. And I mean, at this point, he's just embarrassing himself. I mean, Dana's going to say the free speech thing, but I mean, there are employers who are liable to punish their employees. Maybe not necessarily
punish them in another way. Like, all right, immediate title fight at 205 versus Alex Pereira.
But he's already been. I mean, the worst part is he's kind of been slept by the two heaviest hitters in the division, and Ilya and Josh Emmett. So I mean, you can match him up against somebody else too, but yeah, Bryce Mitchell's just an absolute idiot, man. Just can't believe he'd say something that idiotic.
Yeah. Here's a fun one though. We got Patchy Mix calling for his release from PFL. That is one fighter that I would like to see in UFC. If there's two fighters that I would like to see, it's Dakota Dechifa and Patchy Mix. Yep. I would like to see both those in the UFC. What's your thoughts on here? Do you think he gets his release granted?
Man, that would be awesome if so. Because he's actually, I believe they said, one of Merab's primary training partners as well. So I mean, yeah, the guy's super talented. I've told you for a while now that I believe he could have competed with the top 5 in the UFC bantamweight division, a while ago. I mean, the dude's super talented, good striker. He's got great submissions, good wrestling as well. I mean, he's super well-rounded. And Patchy Mix is fun, man. So I'd love to see him come to the UFC.
Indeed. Let me hit this X up here, see what else we got. We got Carolina targeting return for May or June, wants 2 more fights, D-Rose. What do you think about Tan Carolina wanting 2 more fights?
Does she? I thought she fought like recently, or she has a fight coming up soon, or?
Yeah, she fought, I think, like November, December timeframe, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Like, I can't remember if she fought recently or if she had a fight coming up that was announced, but she's a little bit older, so I'm sure she's trying to cash out on the way out, and she's had a little bit of momentum as well. So try to keep the gravy train rolling.
Indeed, there's a Biggie Boy getting removed from UFC roster, and Jamal Pogues looking surprised. I wonder if he's also surprised that he got released from the UFC roster.
I'm surprised he hasn't been released sooner, because all the dude does is just stand there and throw jabs. That's all he does.
Indeed.
Literally.
Indeed. I have to agree. Let's see here. What do we got? That Cheryl Bullet. We talked about that. Look, Michael Chandler tweeting a palm tree. It's got to be Patty versus Mike Chandler, right?
Is that when they said Patty's supposed to fight? Is it Miami?
I mean, he said fight news soon. Mike Chandler tweeting out a palm tree. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least Chandler's saying that he's going to be fighting in Miami. I don't know necessarily who, but he's leaving his options open.
Yeah. Looks like Brandon Royval is injured, and he is off the main event versus Manal Cop. So it looks like not that Brandon will be fighting Manal Cop, the Heroes.
I felt funny about that fight happening, man. That fight was announced so quickly.
March 1st.
I remember it. Yeah, it was like a week after Manel Cop had said that. Sorry, I had to sneeze there for a second. But no, it was like a week after Manel Cop said that he was only going to take a title shot. That he ended up getting announced to fight Brandon Royval there. So yeah, I felt a little funny about that fight happening the whole time, and looks like that came to fruition.
Yeah, looks like not good news for Austin if you wanted to see Dom Cruz versus Rob Font in Seattle. Dom Cruz is out of his UFC Seattle return against Rob Font. Rob Font will probably get another opponent, but that was probably going to be Dom Cruz's final fight, and I don't know if he's going to get such a fair matchup if he gets another one. What about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised, to be honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dominic Cruz never fought again. I mean, this is a guy who's notoriously been injured in his career a lot. And I mean, he's got a great commentating gig. He's a pretty good commentator. He's not my favorite. He's not my cup of tea necessarily, but he does a good job, and he's got a pretty cushy job now. So I wouldn't be surprised if, with as many injuries as he's gone through, if he is to hang it up.
Yeah, and our second to last one, John Jones, Johnny Meat, as his name is on X, tweeted yesterday tweeted 6 hours ago. In 24 hours, I'll be making a huge announcement. So probably sometime tomorrow we'll get some John Jones news. What do you think that is, D-Rose?
I told you that he's gonna retire. I just believe it. I just think that he's trying to gather everybody around to get them excited, and yeah, he's gonna retire. I mean, because again, me personally, I don't. Everybody's like super excited to see the Tom Aspinall fight. I mean, I would want to see that fight. And I know I said earlier in the year I'd want to see that fight too, but I mean, I'm fine if I don't. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I think so many people are just so determined to see John Jones lose that they want to see, oh man, can Tom Aspinall, the big, young, athletic, heavy-hitting heavyweight, get John out of there? If the fight happens, cool. If it doesn't, cool, man. I don't care. I'm not that pressed about it. And John Jones obviously would leave behind a great legacy if he is to retire. So, and he'll always be the greatest of all time. So I don't think his legacy will be tainted, even if he was to fight again and he was to somehow lose. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he also was to hang it up, because there's nothing left for him to prove.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair. And the last one that I have, no screenshots. I saw it earlier in the week. I couldn't find it again, though. Maybe someone shared it, wasn't supposed to share it, and then pulled it down. But I saw that Arman Saryukin is matched up with, I think, Michael Chandler, dude. So I think that throws off the Patty versus Michael theory that I had a few minutes ago, because I was just not thinking. There was one more that I had, and it was Arman Saryukin versus Michael Chandler. That is being targeted right now. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I saw where Michael Chandler was calling for it. Now, I did see on Twitter where, Arman kind of said, yeah, that fight would be okay, but he would rather fight the guy who had beaten Chandler twice, and that's, Oliveira. So, me personally, I would like to see that Charles fight as well. I told you after UFC 300 that Charles versus Arman should have been a 5-round fight, because I just felt like that, number one contender type fight. You couldn't have too many 5-round fights on UFC 300, because obviously the featured co-main and main were scheduled for 5 rounds. but I thought that I thought that Charles versus Arman should have been 5 rounds, and really that should be the fight that if they're going to make Arman take another fight, that needs to be the fight is versus Charles Oliveira, just to decide who's the rightful number 1 contender. Just because Chandler kind of doesn't make sense in the situation, and I think you can match Chandler up against just about anybody and make a fun fight.
All right. Let's see what you guys got to say about all the news and announcements. We got Antoine. I missed the beginning, but you guys think Israel really returns for another fight? I personally think so, but just like D-Rose said, I don't think he needs to fight any of the top contenders or anything like that. Right, D-Rose?
Right. Yeah, I don't think he needs to fight any of the top contenders or anything. I personally do not want to see him return, but do I think he does? I just think Izzy's too much of a competitor, and he's fought over 100 times in his career between kickboxing, boxing, and MMA. So I just think it's just ingrained in his body at this point to keep continuing. So yeah, I think no doubt he gets another fight in.
Yeah. Good evening, Tangy Sack. Hope you're having a good evening, brother.
What's up?
There's a lot of comparisons between Strickland and Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, but I don't know, dude. It's just like some of you, some people they just shouldn't speak. just don't. You're just digging the hole bigger, man. Just stop. Running from Tom. Yep, that's what we just talked about. And pick for the big game. I hate that. The big game, dude. That's so weird that everyone has to call it that, right?
You gotta be careful, man. Hey, NFL will come after you, man. They ain't scared to come get what they feel like is theirs.
Yeah, I guess I would have to go Chiefs. It's not like I want them to win, but that's who's probably gonna win.
Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I'm a true Cowboys fan. So I cannot find myself cheering for any rival that's in my division, and that includes the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to roll with Kansas City. And honestly, I'm with you. I thought Kansas City probably – yeah, but he's seen enough Super Bowls at this point. I mean, my dad was a Chiefs fan when the Chiefs were, like, down. And
when they had Larry Johnson.
Yeah,
Larry Johnson.
Priest Holmes, yeah, dude. He looked Priest Holmes, Tony Gonzalez. Like he was rocking with them even in the 90s when Joe Montana was the quarterback. So my dad's rode with Kansas City for a long time. He's seen 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years and all this success here recently. I've seen enough Chiefs Super Bowls to where, hey, I'm good for seeing another one, but I just can't root for Philadelphia, man. I just cannot do it.
All right. I think John Jones is a fake retirement for negotiating purposes, says Jeff. That wouldn't surprise me. Connors, thanks for the cheese. Catch you later. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but John's a little bit older now, and I truly don't
think
for
the cheese.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. All right, so that's all the news that we have for the week, I believe. So let's go ahead and get into what most of y'all are probably here for, our UFC 312, Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. 2, our predictions, our picks, any bets that we can tell you right now that we're going to make, so on and so forth. So with that being said, let's get this screen shared, I believe. Yeah, let me see if I can do this one and maybe go over.
Fizzled.
Is it still covered? Yeah, it's still covered. I have to do it like this one. It is what it is. All right. So, yeah, let me go up to the top right quick. And we will talk about this weekend. We have UFC 312 headlined by Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Number 2, we saw this close to this time last year. It kind of feels like, but sometime last year, these two fought. Dricus won via decision. Controversial decision, I guess. A lot of people were thinking Sean Strickland won the fight, but that's not what the judges thought. But anyway, this weekend, Saturday, February 8th at 6 p.m. East Coast time on in the U.S. Is going to be taking place 13 fights at the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, headlined by Dricus, Still Knox du Plessis, and Sean Strickland. The second one for the middleweight title again. In the co-main event, we've got Magnum Zhang Wei Li taking on the undefeated Tatiana Suarez for the strawweight title. That's going to be a banger. I'm really excited for that fight, not going to lie. And this is where the card kind of goes downhill. In the featured fight of the night, we've got the undefeated Taliesin Teixeira taking on Australia's Justin Badman Tafa. We've got Jimmy the Brute Crute returning from retirement to take on Adolfo Bellado. We've got the Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews. He's got more fights in the UFC than he is old. He's going to be taking on Francisco Prado, moving up to 170 pounds. We've got Far Jack Jenkins taking on Gabriel Santos. We've got the Big Train, Tom Nolan, taking on Slava Claus, Vyacheslav Barshov. We've got the Joker, Kong Wong, taking on Bruno Brazil. We've got the brother of your featherweight champion of the world, Alexandre Topuria, taking on, are you ready for this, D-Rose? His name is like none other. His name is Colby Slickness Thickness. He is undefeated from Australia as well.
Smooth. That's smooth as hell.
We've got Cody Steele taking on Rong Zhu. We've got Kevin Ayer-Jusey taking on Jonathan Melikeff. How do you say this? Melkeff?
Nicola?
I don't know how to say that. We've got Quinlan Salkild taking on Anshul Jubilee. And fun fact, Anshul Jubilee hates dogs. And the first fight of the night, we've got a banger. The undefeated Hung Sung Park taking on Namjargel Tumendumbarel. We saw him fight not too long ago in his UFC debut, and he has a wild name. Fights fizzled off this card. Ray Sayura taking on Steve Nickel. Nickel got injured, or Stuart Nickel got injured. Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachniow was scheduled. Marcin Prachniow withdrew. Kamaru Usman versus Jack Della Maddalena was, I guess, targeted for this card, but that one fizzled. And then Cody Hatton versus the brother of Ilia Topuria, Alessandro Topuria, and Cody Hatton withdrew. So a few people missed out fighting on this card, but not too many. Two of them got replacements. So I guess give me your thoughts on the card as a whole before we jump into it, D-Rose.
Them top two fights are doing a lot of lifting for this card. Because I remember when they showed the main card a couple weeks ago on the pay-per-view, and I told you that usually when they show the pay-per-view card, they'll show the main card. DC, Joe, and John Anik will talk about it, and then they'll show the co-main, or they'll show the prelims. They did not show any of the prelims on the pay-per-view whatsoever. Like, they were making sure they did not show those prelims because they knew that, hey, these matchups are kind of tough to get excited for. Now, could they potentially deliver? Hell, it's a UFC, so you never know, man. But on paper, this is not pay-per-view quality. But we're going to be there to watch it anyway because we're a bunch of dopes.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun card. Am I excited that, I got to pay $80 for it? No, I'm not excited for that part of it, but it's fights, it is what it is. So I guess let's get into it, D-Rose. First fight of the night, we've got Namjargel Tumendumbarel taking on Hyung Sung Park. Hyung Sung Park is 9-0, 29 years old, 5'7" and a 66-inch reach, while Namjargel Tumendumbarel, Art of Knockout is his fight name, 26 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach, 8-1 overall, and he was undefeated before his last fight. And he didn't look terrible, but nothing really that made you say, wow, this guy's going to be a killer in the future. Currently, odds for this fight minus 230 for Hyung-Sung Park, and Namjargel Tumindumbarel is plus 190. Your underdog. This is a low-level fight, D-Rose. This is one that we could have seen on road to UFC, and I don't feel confident about this one either way. I think this one goes to some sort of sketchy split decision. 8-1, 9-0. It's not like both fighters are, really experienced. The one's tasted defeat in his last fight once, and it was in the UFC. We did see Hyung-Sung Park, I think, a few times, and we also saw him get a knockout as well. I forgot dude's name, but he also has power on the feet, but most of the time he's just going out there and just shooting. That's what Hyung-Sung Park's going to do. And I think Namjargel, his takedown defense isn't that good. So I guess give me Hyung-Sung Park to win this fight via decision. Don't feel great about it, but yeah, give me Hyung-Sung Park here. What about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, this one's a tough one for me to call because, like you said, it's kind of low level fighting here for the most part, and both guys are really known for going out there and getting the finish. I think all but one of each of their wins are by finish. So two guys who are absolutely going out there and looking for the kill. Tumindumbarel does have, I know you said that his takedown defense isn't the best, but he does have a couple of submissions under his belt. So I know he's got some pretty decent offensive wrestling. Reach advantage is on his side as well. I think he's tasted, a loss in the UFC at this point. Kind of knowing how to bounce back. Carlos Hernandez is a pretty decent fighter, and that's who he ended up losing to in his last fight. I think Tumindumbarel's got some value here. So let's go Tumindumbarel by decision here.
All right. Looks like me and you are both on the over part here. But I am on Park and you are on Tumindumbarel. I'm just gonna make a scribble. All right, fair enough. First different pick of the night on the first fight of the night. I'm on Hyung-Sung Park. D Rose is on Namjargel Tumindumbarel. It is Peace of Mind versus Art of Knockout. What a fight we have. We'll move on to the next one. We've got Quinlan Salkild taking on Anshul, King of Lions, Jubilee. He ain't the king of the wolves or the king of the dogs. Well, we know that much. Anyway, Salkild, 7-1, 25 years old, 6 foot and a 75-inch reach, while Anshul Jubilee, 7-1, 30 years old, 6 foot and a 69-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are minus 600 for Quinlan Salkild. Anshul Jubilee is plus 440. Your underdog, over/under on this one is set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is plus 114. Under 2.5 is minus 145. Yeah, for this one, D Rose, I think a lot. The line is just way blown out now. Minus 600. Like, come on now. I know people aren't that high on Anshul Jubilee after fucking Mike Breeden just barked at him in the third round, then knocked him out. It looked like he scared Anshul Jubilee. It's like he had never seen anyone do that before, and he panicked and he just lost it, and he didn't know what to do, and Mike Breeden just knocked him out. Then Mike Breeden got cut from the UFC, and Anshul Jubilee is still here. The thing about that fight, though, is, man, Anshul Jubilee won every moment of those first 2 rounds. He just looked really, really good. I went back in and I watched that fight the other day, getting ready for this one. We saw Quinlan Salkild on the Contender Series, and he looked pretty good. The thing is this line is just so out. Like I'm gonna pick Quinlan Salkild to win this fight. I'm gonna pick him to win round 2, round 3 knockout. But at minus 600, like I have to wait until some props open up to even bet anything here. But give me Quinlan Salkild to win this fight via 3rd round knockout. We've seen him absorb a lot of damage on the Contender Series and just keep walking forward. So we know he's got a gas tank, and we know he throws heat, and that is Anshul Jubilee's pretty much weakness. So Quinlan Southfield, 3rd round knockout for me. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, there's just no way that I'm gonna end up choosing a dude who ended up losing to a guy who barked at him. Quite literally just barked at him until he just crumpled up in defeat. Like it reminded me of
not only did he just bark at him, he was also screaming USA at him while he's punching him in the face, or like America, like either USA or America, maybe even both. Like it was priceless.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if it was both. But knowing Mike Breeden and how goofy he can be. But yeah, no way I'm picking Angelo Jubilee here. I know Southfield, came off the Contender Series, and he looked pretty solid. Big dude, strong guy as well. Yeah, I just think that he's going to be able to. I wouldn't be surprised to see a decision here from Southfield, but let's go Southfield here.
All right, me and D-Rose both on Quinlan Southfield to win the fight. We'll move on to the next one where we've got Kevin Jusay taking on Jonathan Melcalf. I think that's how you say it. Kevin Air Jusay is 10-3 overall, 31 years old, 6'2" and a 75-inch reach, while Jonathan, the captain, Melcalf, is 25 years old, 6 foot and a 77-inch reach. What am I saying? Kevin Jusay in his last fight kind of just got the work put on him by Brian Battle, dude, and that was in France. And then, drop the epic post-fight, the epic post-fight interview of y'all didn't think I was gonna come in here and lose to a French dude while they're in France. That was hilarious. That's the last time we saw Kevin Jusay. But aside from that fight, dude, I think Kevin Jusay is a pretty good technical fighter. Not going to wow you anywhere, really. If it goes to the ground, he's got some, sneaky subs because he is a judo guy. So keep that in mind. So what I expect here truly is Kevin Jusay to just outpoint Jonathan Melcalf all 3 rounds, and we get a Kevin Jusay via decision, because Jonathan Melcalf, nothing that he does, I guess he's an okay fighter, but it kind of just seems like they're just bringing in one of kind of like the local guys to get one of the guys that maybe have a little bit more star power in the area, maybe to get him back on another win. So give me Kevin Jusay to win this fight via decision. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think Melcalf, he definitely poses some problems for Kevin Jusay, because I think for Melcalf, he has some pretty good offensive wrestling himself for the most part, from what I saw in the Contender Series. So that is something that Kevin Jusay has to worry about. But as you said, Jusay does have that judo background as well. I think this fight, you're going to see this fight can maybe be your PBF. I think this one, you're going to see a lot of clinch exchanges for the most part. I think a lot of heavy knees in the clinch, a lot of fence riding. But I think Kevin Jusay, being the bigger guy, I know he doesn't necessarily have the reach advantage, but he is good at using his range with his striking for the most part. And if you get inside, he's good at working the knees in the clinch. I'm with you with the outpointing thing. I got Jusay by decision.
Fair enough. Me and you are both on Kevin Air Jusay to win this fight via decision. We'll move on to another one. And this one's fun, dude. We've got Cody Steele taking on Rong Zhu. Cody Steele is 7-0, 29 years old, 5'9" and a 71-inch reach, while Rong Zhu is 24 years old, 5'9", and also and a 72.5-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are Rong Zhu plus 190, Cody Steele minus 230. We ain't got no over-unders yet. But, yeah, I think for this one, we saw Cody Steele. We would have seen him earlier last year on the Contender Series, but he was the fighter that he was there, weighed in, they were getting ready to fight, and then the guy that he was going to fight just was like, nah, I don't want to fight this guy or fight anymore. And he just didn't fight. And then we saw Cody Steele return a few weeks later, I think on the last last week of the Contender Series, and I think he won via decision, or I'm not sure. I think he won via decision. Let me check.
He won by TKO.
TKO. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
I'm getting confused with that was someone else. But he looked fairly okay, but I guess I expected heavy grappling, and in reality, he just came in there and kind of just threw bombs. And looking back at just how Rongju has fought against his previous competition in the UFC, he's a striker, dude, and his takedown defense is absolutely cheeks. I remember when he fought Ignacio Bahamondes, dude, and I saw a lot of people picking Rongju to win that fight, and I was like, oh no, this is going to end bad for you guys. And I just don't think Rongju has anything for Cody Steele here. I think on the feet, he may be the more technical striker as far as in and out, but I don't think he has enough power to hurt Cody Steele. I think Cody Steele has for sure has more power here. He's more aggressive here. He's for sure going to be the better wrestler here. He's got the better jiu-jitsu here. We just don't ever see it because he's pretty much down to throw bombs. You have to go back to his regional scene to see his jiu-jitsu at all. But I think this would be an excellent time for Cody Steele to use his wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So with that being said, let's hope he does it. Let's go Cody Steele, first round submission, D-Rose.
Yeah, no, I think I'll keep it short and sweet here. I do think that the only thing that kind of worries me for Cody Steele in this fight is Rongju does have a lot of experience. So when it comes to that many fights, I mean, you're talking 31 fights in his professional career already at 24, almost 25 years old. And Cody Steele has 7 fights at 29. So I would think that experience will play in for Rongju at some point, but I do think that the biggest hole in his game is his wrestling defense. We saw Taco Padilla really take advantage of that in their last fight as well.
Dude, that elbow that he hit him in the eye with was nasty, though.
That junk exploded too, like when he hit him in the eye with it, man. And that was another thing, clinching him against the fence as well. He was dominating a lot of those clinch positions as well. But
same kind of body style too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Cody Steele, as you said, got the good wrestling background, man. I think there's a path to victory there for Cody Steele. Let's go. I'll go Cody Steele. Let's go by submission. Second round.
All right. Me and D-Rose both on Cody Steele by sub. I personally think round 1, but if it was in round 2, it wouldn't surprise me. D-Rose on it in round 2. We'll move on to the next one, and we've got some research to do here, D-Rose. We've got Alexandre Topuria taking on Colby Slickness Thickness. What a name. Alexandre El Conquistador Topuria is 5-1 overall, 29 years old, 5'7", not sure on the reach right now. Colby Slickness Thickness is 7-0, 25 years old, 5'9", and a 70-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are plus 295 for Colby Slickness Thickness. And Alexandre El Conquistador Topuria is minus 375. Your favorite. D-Rose. Have you had the chance to do any research on any of these fighters? And if you say no, it's okay, because we got it right here. We're going to do it together. We've got Alexandre Topuria pulled up here. He is 5-1 overall, 29 years old, right? Let's just take a little scroll down here. So the last time he fought was in May of 2023 against Jonathan Segas. He was 3-1. Before that, he fought in March of 2022 against Alberto Ibanez. Alberto was 1-9 at the time, so not good. And before 2022, he fought December 8th of 2021 against Lucas Torino, who was 7-18-1 at the time. Before that, he lost all the way back in 2015 against an 0-0 guy. Knockout in the third round, and his first two fights were also in 2015.
He got
so
blasted in that KO loss too, like blasted.
Yeah, so let's just look at maybe his most 3 recent wins on how these guys are now doing. How's Lucas Torino doing at this point? Oh, Lucas Torino is now 7-29. Yeah, so Lucas Torino is absolute ass. How is Alberto Ibanez doing? Oh, Alberto Ibanez has done nothing else but go on. Dude, look at this fucking guy.
You do not assume that this guy's gender, okay? You know damn well that he got his ass knocked out and drove away in his Subaru Crosstrek. You know damn well he did.
Someone told him, hey, girls like fighters, and he was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And this is the outcome. This is the outcome.
He definitely has khaki shorts and shops at Target. Like those are his 2 favorite things to do.
Yeah, man. So out of Toporia's 5 wins, dude, those are 2 of his most 3 recent wins, like that weren't in 2015, dude. The only other guy, John Segas, is 3-2 overall. It's like
the dude's like he's on all the roids though.
He
had to like he was on all the roids.
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Nepotism at its finest with Umar getting the title shot, dude. But how is his record even close to good enough to being in the UFC? And what I've noticed, I don't even have to break down this fight. What I've noticed is UFC could have given Ilya's brother anyone in the UFC roster at 135. There's a lot of low-level people there at 135, and they probably weren't confident enough that he would beat any of those people. So they probably had to bring in some dude. They're like, yeah, he can probably beat this dude. This name is Colby Slickness Thickness. Let's bring him in, give him a UFC shot, and hopefully we can get Toporia's brother a win, because I don't have any confidence in Topuria or his fight skills, but he's fighting Colby Thickness. So I guess I'll go Topuria. Let's go Topuria via knockout. Which way are you going here, man?
You said all that to say Topuria by knockout?
But it's because it's Colby Thickness. They had to bring this dude in. They had to find someone that Topuria could beat, and none of those people are currently on the UFC roster. That was my point.
Right. No, and I get that. And it looks like this guy. Is this fight going to be at featherweight as well?
No, 135.
Okay, so it is 135. Okay. I just saw that where Toporia's weight was a little out of whack there. So, but
I wouldn't be the living shit about
Dave, you would have ragdolled. You would have ragdolled Alberto. Absolutely.
You need to divine nepotism, you need to divine nepotism. I haven't seen Riley in a little bit, Dave. I'm not sure where Riley's at.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't seen him either. That's a good point. But man, I'm not gonna lie. I think man, Mr.
You going with the thickness? You going with the slickness?
He might have a shot, man. He might have a shot. I mean, look, 2 wins by sub, 2 wins by TKO. He's got 7 wins overall, so 3 decisions. So he's known to go all 3 rounds as well. I mean, dude, Topuria goes in there and tries to fight like his brother, and then messes around and gets clapped like he did against the Ivanov guy. So hey, it's there to happen. Again, he's not nearly as talented as Elia. Yeah, give me Kobe thickness, man. I'm going to take the shot here. I'm taking the shot.
All right. D Rose on Colby slickness, thickness. I'm on Alexandre El Conquistador Taporia, but man, I will not be putting my money on that fight.
And not $1 will be put on that fight. If it's not Kobe thickness, I'm not putting $1 in that fight. No chance.
Yeah, it's just I just don't know how he's here, D Rose. I just don't know how he's here. Anyway, we'll move on to the next fight, being the Joker Kong Tong taking on the special one, Bruno Brazil. Kong Wong is 32 years old, 5'6" and a 66.5-inch reach, while Bruna, the special one, Brazil, 10-4-1 overall, 31 years old, 5'6" and a 65.5-inch reach. D Rose, when this fight was announced, what is one thing we did not really think about or take into consideration at all? That these fighters fight at two different weight classes. And now Bruno Brazil is moving up to 125 pounds for this fight. Don't really understand why. And I don't like it, dude, because she usually, maybe has a little bit of size and reach advantage over a lot of the girls down at 115, but moving up to 125. And she's been knocked out before, dude. And yeah, going against Kong Wong, it's just not a good look. I suspect Kong Wong gets back on the winning streak this week. We saw her in her last fight get kind of overconfident against Gabby Fernandez, get head kicked and then choked out. But Gabby Fernandez is kind of like a little tank at 125, as where Bruno Brazil is going to be this long, lanky-ish type fighter, but not have a lot of size because she does normally fight down at 115. So give me Kong Wong to win this fight. Let's go first round knockout, D Rose. Which way are you going here?
I think the reason why we didn't think about it, or at least I didn't think about
Bruno
Brazil fighting at 115 is because where Bruno Brazil fought Molly McCann, and Molly McCann has kind of notoriously fought at 125 before. So
yeah, I'm going to grab something to drink. I'll be right back. Go ahead, though.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of put two and two together and was like, oh, okay, Bruno Brazil was already fighting at 125 because she fought Molly McCann, but I had to remember that Molly McCann has made the move down to 115. So that definitely makes it even more tricky here. But is it Tong, Kong, Shong Wong, Kong? I don't know what it is at this point. It has a C. I'm saying Kong. Some people saying Tong, Song, Dong, Song Yadong, Cheech and Chong. I don't know what it is at this point, man. It's hard to keep up with it, but Tong here. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's obvious that it has a C, so you're supposed to pronounce it with a T. I mean, duh. Why, how do you not realize that? So it just absolutely throws me off. But no, I do think that that Tong here, she is I think her aggression can really help her in this fight, as you said with the Gabby Fernandez fight for Tong Wang, is that Gabby Fernandez can meet that intensity with intensity. Bruno Brazil, even though she does fight out of the fighting nerds, she doesn't necessarily fight like Jean Silva in those types of, and like Mauricio Hufi and stuff. She's not super aggressive. She kind of controls the fight at a distance and at a range. And I think that Tong Wang, just the way that she's able to close the distance and her be the aggressor, I think can really help her in this fight. So I think Wang ends up winning, but I think she takes it a little bit more calm this time in this fight. I think it goes to decision. But yeah, I think Wang Tong, Kong, Cheech and Chong, Song Yadong gets it done by decision.
All right. Currently, odds for this fight minus 440. Wang Tong, Bruno Brazil is plus 340. Over under on this one's at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 195. Under 2.5 is plus 150. Me and D Rose both on Wang Tong. I think she knocks out Bruno Brazil. D Rose, I think she wins via decision. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We'll move on to the next one where you got Tom Big Train Nolan taking on Slavaklav's Vyacheslav Barshov. Excuse me. Tom Nolan, 8-1 overall, 24 years old, 6'3" and a 73-inch reach, while Vyacheslav Slavaklav's Barshov is 8-4-1 overall. That one was a crazy fight. Me and D Rose watched that one. Watched that one together in his right beside where he's currently at. Anyway, Slavaklav's 33 years old, 5'11" and a 69-inch reach. Going to be a fun fight. Currently odds for this fight, Tom Nolan plus 102, your underdog. Vyacheslav Barshov minus 122, your favorite. Over under on this one is set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 115. Under 1.5 is also minus 115. We got a fun one here, D Rose. Tough one because maybe Slavaklav's hasn't looked the best in his past few fights. You know, getting dropped by Chase Hooper, not the best look. Almost got killed against Nazim Sadykhov. That's where the one came from there. But I guess if I think about it for just a second, if the fight is just the striking fight, like there is no threat of takedowns, Slavaklav's is winning every single moment of that fight. He has excellent striking, excellent head movement. He delivers nasty body shots, and he has really good power. And I like after he fucking wins, he does that fucking cool dance. On the other hand, Tom Nolan, he's kind of like first round or bust. He's going to come out there and throw everything at you. And if that doesn't work, then you're probably going to pack him up soon after that. We saw him get folded by Nicholas Moda, dude. And I'm not going to say that's the worst look in the world because we know Nick Moda does have power, but we know Nick Moda is not the best fighter in the world. And if you're going to play those games on the feet against these strikers, dude, I got to take Slavaklav's to probably knock you out here. So, yeah, give me Slavaklav's to knock out the hometown guy of Tom Nolan. What is odds for that? Slavaklav's via knockout is currently plus 150. Not the best odds. Not the best odds. I would probably just go Slavaklav's money line if I had to bet this. So Slavaklav's for me, probably by knockout or decision. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this fight, this is one that I have gone back and forth with because, you know, I know the main comparison is that, you know, Barshov, you know, obviously got lit up by Chase Hooper, and, you know, a big lanky guy who his striking isn't that clean is able to hurt Slavaklav's like that. What do you think a guy like Tom Nolan, who is pretty good with using his reach and is a more potent striker than Chase Hooper, you know, what would a guy like that do? But I mean, I would also say as well that there was a point where it looked like Barshov did not tap in that Chase Hooper fight, and they ended up calling it anyway. Now, he was getting the absolute snot beat out of him, but I know you mentioned the Nazim Sadykhov fight. Dude, there's one thing that you can give Slavaklav's credit for is that dude is not going to quit on himself at all. Like, I mean, you're going to have to kill him to get him out of there. I think for Tom Nolan, he's a front runner. He's great when he's controlling the pace of the fight, but when you get him into a little bit of that dogfight a little bit is where he tends to struggle. As you said, Nicholas Moda folded him. What disappointed me was to see Tom Nolan really struggle with Alex Reyes, considering Alex Reyes is very
that shit went all the way to decision, dude.
Yeah, and Alex Reyes is not good at all, man. So for me, as long as Slavaklav's can get inside the range, he's got the power advantage, in my opinion. He's got the inside dirty boxing type style that I think can really give Tom Nolan some problems. Nasty body shots. I'm going Slavaklav's by second round knockout.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad me and you are both on fucking Slavaklav's. Let's go Slavaklav's to deliver some of those nasty packages. All right,
Lumps
dude,
of coal right to the ribs. Bow.
Oh. All right, let's go Slavaklav's there. Next fight, we got Jack Jenkins taking on Gabriel Mosquetino Santos. Yeah, dude. When I was first researching this fight, was looking at about 30 minutes of Willie Cat. I don't know why. I was researching the wrong guy. Still a Brazilian. I think I don't know what it. I'm not sure what his name actually is, but maybe it's close to Gabriel Santos. But I was like, this is not the same guy. So yeah, we got Gabriel Mosquetino Santos here. 28 years old, 5'9", and a 70-inch reach. Far Jack Jenkins is currently plus 190, the underdog, and Gabriel Santos is minus 230, the favorite. Did I say how tall and shit they were, or no?
I didn't hear the height or anything. I heard the odds.
Yeah, me either. Okay, so far Jack Jenkins, 13-3, 31 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach, while Gabriel Mosquetino Santos is 11-2, 28 years old, 5'9", and a 70-inch reach. Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, we saw Gabriel Santos looked okay against Lerone Murphy, short notice in England, but he still lost the fight. Lerone Murphy's just a fighter that I feel like he's going to fight you how you want to fight him. He's just going to be a little bit better than you everywhere. Like, he's not really going to do anything to 100% like put his foot on the gas and dominate you there. He's just going to do what he has to do to win there. So I think that fight, maybe him looking really good in that fight, is maybe more of Lerone Murphy fighting down to his level of competition. On the other hand, far Jack Jenkins had a few losses now. Chepe fight wasn't the best, the one that sticks in my head when he got his arm broken, but he's back, and he's back to break some bones. Yeah, I like far Jack Jenkins' leg kicks here, and Gabriel Santos. I know he trains. I think trains at If I Can Shoot the Box. So he's gonna have this like Muay Thai style, but I don't know if he really is going to get the training with anyone that kicks as hard as Jack Jenkins does live in this fight. So I like the dog. He's the hometown guy here. I truly don't understand it that much. Give me Jack Jenkins to win this fight at plus 190. Jack Jenkins by knockout is plus 700. Jack Jenkins by decision is plus 350. I don't hate the Jack Jenkins by knockout. It's more specifically that leg kick knockout, that round 2, round 3 leg kick, Jack Jenkins knockout. That's the way I see it happening. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this is one that I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad that you were thinking that, because I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not crazy. Because the betting lines just have me scratching my head right now. I mean, I know Gabriel Santos does have some talent. He's shown some pretty good skill, and I know his 2 losses were basically a couple of like short notice fights. Because I know the Anama fight wasn't necessarily short notice, but it was kind of scrapped together last second.
That fight though.
Exactly. Yeah, he ended up getting hit, crushed in that fight, and had the arrow shot over him. And Onama did it just because Izzy did it. Absolute dork. But no, Santos, we've seen some talent there. Great, and I don't want to say great striking, good striking. I think he's got good leg kicks of his own, and he's some pretty good offensive wrestling of his own. I just think, to me, it looks like Jack Jenkins. He's not the bigger guy in terms of height, but he's the thicker guy in terms of muscle. So I think in terms of the wrestling advantage, I would probably lean towards Jack Jenkins, because I think he'd have the strength advantage. I mean, and you can say that in that Chepe fight, he lost that fight, but I bet Chepe to win that fight. And of course, he ended up winning that fight. But you could say that Jack Jenkins was having moments in that fight and was arguably winning that fight before he had the unfortunate arm break in that fight. So yeah, I think Jack Jenkins has showed good account for himself in the UFC so far. I just don't think he has the best finishing instinct. So I do think that I'm with the decision prop there for Jack Jenkins, but I would tell you that I actually already have a $10 bet on him straight up. I placed that like yesterday just because I was like, man, plus 190. There's no way I'm going to pass this up. I think Jack Jenkins all the way here. Jack Jenkins by decision.
I think that might be the first time you've picked Jack Jenkins on the pod, D-Rose.
It may have. I've always been a little bit questionable on him, but hey, man, he's got some talent, and I see a good matchup for him.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go Jack Jenkins leg kicks though. Me and D-Rose both on far.
Well, I definitely picked it against Herbert Burns. Come on, let's be fair.
Yeah. But the fucked up part about that is, dude, is he didn't even finish him in under the 1.5, dude. That everyone had bet him. He still finished him in the second. It just went over the 1.5, dude.
Yep.
Absolutely not.
That's why I said not the best finishing instinct. Not the best.
Yeah. Me and D-Rose both on far Jack Jenkins though. We'll move on to the next one. Is this the first fight on the main card? Yeah, first fight on the main card. We've got the Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews, taking on Francisco Prado. The Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews, 20-7 overall, 30 years old, 5'11" and a 73-inch reach, while Francisco Prado is 12-2 overall. The Argentine is 22 years old, 5'10" and a 69.3-inch reach. How odd is that? And Francisco Prado is moving up to welterweight for this fight. Looking at the height, it kind of throws me off because I always thought Francisco Prado was maybe a smaller dude down at lightweight, and then it looks like he's not going to. On paper, it doesn't look like he's going to be that much smaller than Jake Matthews. However, I do think Jake Matthews is probably a little bit bigger than listed, and for sure his size, like his body structure, adds to it because he's a pretty thick guy as well. I think he's a pretty solid size heavyweight. I mean, size heavyweight, pretty solid sized, like welterweight. I think he's the ideal size for welterweight. Yeah. That being said, he has fought down at lightweight before when he first came into the UFC. D-Rose, do you know what I think this fight ends up looking like?
Andre Fialho versus Jake Matthews.
I think it looks like the Simmelsberger versus Jake Matthews fight, dude. I think Jake Matthews. Hold on, what's the odds for this? Jake Matthews minus 230, Francisco Prado plus 190. Over under on this was set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 188. Under 2.5 plus 145. Yeah, dude, I think this looks something like the Matthew Simmelsberger fight. I think people are high on Jake Matthews. He's in his home country here, and he's been looking all right. But, dude, I think it's about time his chin gets touched again. And if we know something about Francisco Prado, is this Argentine kid, dude, he comes in there and he throws fucking heat, dude. He's basically the Argentinian Drew Dober, if you will. He's got a fucking chin on him, dude. He's going to come in there and wing shots, throw spinning shit, throw head kicks, throw spinning head kicks. And if he connects one time, I think he's got the power to put out Jake Matthews, even up at welterweight, dude. So give me Francisco Prado to knock out Jake Matthews this weekend. Which way are you going here, man?
Interesting pick. I mean, Jake Matthews is very inconsistent, so I can understand how you would think that. For me personally, I will say that I see it for Jake Matthews all the way. I'm actually surprised that Jake Matthews is not the bigger favorite. I don't think that he's going to knock out Francisco Prado because I think Prado is just absolutely tough. I think the Drew Dober comparison fits him well just in terms of his toughness and his game. But I think as you said, Jake Matthews' body is going to be more formed to welterweight at this point. I mean, he's just had the more experience fighting at welterweight versus Prado was making 155. So I would not be surprised if you see Prado looking a little bit more doughy body shape wise, just because he's not as used to walking around fighting at 170 versus where Jake Matthews is going to be pretty shredded. I think Jake Matthews is going to have the speed advantage and just the more technical advantage. I mean, I think he's just a more well-rounded overall fighter. As long as he just doesn't get hit clean. I think this is Jake Matthews fight all the way. And I think Jake Matthews by decision.
All right. Our third different pick of the night. I am on Francisco Prado, the underdog. D-Rose on the Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews. We'll move on to the next fight on the main card. Jimmy, the Brute Crute, taking on Rodolfo Tractor Bellotto. Jimmy, the Brute Crute, is 12-4-1, 28 years old, 6'2" and a 74-inch reach. And don't forget, he retired 2-3 years ago. But hey, UFC's coming back to Australia. They gave Jimmy Crute a call. And he said, you know what? I'm too good at fighting to not give this another shot. Rodolfo Bellotto, Tractor, on the other hand, 12-2 overall, 29 years old, 6'3" and a 77.5-inch reach. We saw him one time in the UFC against none other than Ihor Potieria, where he got the shit kicked out of him in the first round, got the shit kicked out of him at the beginning of the second round as well, reversed Ihor, and then end up just dropping some bombs on Ihor, and then Ihor just kind of does what Ihor does and just got knocked out. But did give Rodolfo some problems. So if you are picking Jimmy Crute this week, I don't hate it. However, I can't pick Jimmy Crute, dude. His chin is just so bad. I know he's taking some time off, but Rodolfo Bellotto's a big guy, man. 6'2", 77.5-inch reach, and we know he throws power. He's only lost twice, and both those losses have been to Vitor Petrino, and I think he's got knocked out in both of those fights. So the only person that beat this guy is Vitor Petrino. And if do a little MMA math, I think Vitor Petrino would probably knock out Jimmy Crute, if I'm going to be honest. I just think Jimmy Crute just pretty stiff, dude, and just gets hit quite a bit and don't got the best chin. So give me Rodolfo Bellotto to knock out Jimmy Crute probably in the first round on Saturday. Which way you going here, man? Well, actually, let me do odds real quick. Jimmy Crute plus 136, your underdog. Rodolfo Bellotto minus 162, your favorite. Over under on this one is set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 135. Under 1.5 plus 105. I am on Rodolfo Bellotto, round one knockout. All right, sorry, go ahead. D-Rose, go ahead.
No, you're good, man. No, I think this one's tough for me to call. This is the one I've probably gone back and forth with the most this week. And I think it's more or less just because both these fighters are going to be wild cards. Both of them are coming in off of some pretty extended time off. Rodolfo Bellotto last fought in December 23. So, I mean, he's had over a year out of the octagon as well. And Jimmy Crute, as you said, he's had more than 18 months out of the octagon. I didn't think he was necessarily retiring. I thought that he was kind of stepping away.
Took the gloves off, threw them down, retired, dude.
Yeah, but he was very non-committal about it. Like he wanted to step away, but then he was kind of like, I feel like I still got it, but yada yada, whatever. He wanted to step away and think about it. And now he's back. Do I think that he's going to be world champion? No. But man, Rodolfo Bellotto got lit up by Ihor Potieria a couple of different times in that fight. Jimmy Crute can still sling. He still has pretty good power in his hands for the most part. He just gets hit a lot. I mean, that's his big thing, man. If he can just develop, he needs to just get with Yuri, man, and just, hey, man, just show me how to shoulder roll a little bit. This just a little bit of head movement here and there. I think Jimmy Crute can be all right, man. He just takes a lot of clean shots and he leaves himself open because he throws a lot of big shots. And that's how Jamal Hill was able to knock him out, just because Jamal Hill literally just countered him every single time because Jimmy Crute was trying to land these home run shots where Jamal Hill was just touching the button. I think if Jimmy Crute comes in calm, cool, collected, Rodolfo Bellotto, if he's able to outlast Rodolfo Bellotto out of that first round, I think Jimmy Crute can get it done, man. So, and Jimmy Crute's got some submissions in his career as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Bellotto kind of gasses out there and Jimmy Crute gets a guillotine or something like that. So let's go Jimmy Crute by submission.
All right, surprising. Let me Bellato, and Crute. So, fourth different pick of the night. I am on Hidalgo Tractor, Bellato, D Rose on Jimmy, the Brute Crute. Yeah, fun fight there. We'll move on to the featured fight of the night. Taliesin, I don't know how to say that. Teixeira taking on Justin Badman Tafa. Taliesin Teixeira is 7-0, 25 years old, 6'7" and an 83-inch reach, while Justin Badman Tafa is 7-4 overall, 31 years old, 6 foot and a 74-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight plus 114 for Justin Tafa and minus 135 for Taliesin Teixeira. Over under on this one is set at 1.5, obviously. Could be set at 0.5, and I wouldn't hate it either. Over 1.5 is plus 140. Under 1.5 is minus 180. Yeah, D Rose, I think this fight's going to end in about a minute and a half, probably. Yeah, man. Taliesin Teixeira is undefeated. Going to be his first fight in the UFC. And to be honest, his fucking defense is dog shit. And if you're going to come into a fight with dog shit defense, aka tall man's defense being 6'7", and you're going to fight Justin Tafa, dude, we've seen how this goes. We've seen Mark Hunt versus Stefan Struve. We've seen Tai Tuivasa versus Stefan Struve. We've even seen Austin Lane versus Justin Tafa 2 separate times. I know how this goes. D-Rose, anytime I pick Justin Tafa, I think he wins because I am not high on him at all. I think he's not a good fighter. All he's got is a punch to knock you out with, and if that don't land, then he ain't winning. But Taliesin Teixeira gets hit, dude, and I think Justin Tafa knocks him out probably a minute into the first round. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I think I couldn't have said it any cleaner, man. I think Tafa, especially in front of the home crowd in Australia, he seems to really bring the fire. And Taliesin Teixeira, again, just leaves himself open to get hit a lot, man. I think he just tries to use his size against these dudes, but doesn't have the best of head movement. And Tafa cracks, man. And as soon as he lands, it's night-night for a lot of those guys. I know he's not the biggest guy, but he packs a big punch. And Junior Tafa is not very good. He's not good at anything, striking or whatever the case may be. But like Justin Tafa is a sharp striker, man. Like he's a sharp puncher for heavyweight, and he's a good counter puncher. You know, he can kind of step off on angles, and you know the way he was able to get Parker Porter. I know it's Parker Porter, but just the way he kind of step back, frame, and just throw that right hand. Like, dude, Justin Tafa is pretty slick when it comes to setting up his punches, man. And if you're going to leave yourself open like that, that's a bad decision to make. So I got Tafa by first round KO.
Hell yeah. We on the bad man, Justin Tafa. All right, co-main event time. If y'all haven't already, please do you boys a favor and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new here. Co-main event for the UFC strawweight title, we've got Magnum Zhang Weili taking on Tatiana Suarez. So Magnum Zhang Weili, 25-3 overall, 35 years old, 5'4" and a 63-inch reach, while Tatiana Suarez is 10-0, 34 years old, 5'5" and a 66-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are plus 100 for Magnum Zhang Weili and minus 120 for Tatiana Suarez. Over-under on this one is set at 3.5. Over 3.5 is minus 140. Under 3.5 is plus 110. D-Rose, I'm going to let you do the honors, man. I'm going to let you break this down, and I'm going to let you make the first pick, man.
Yeah, this is one that, the betting line is very indicative of how I think a lot of people feel about this fight. And I think this fight's
Close.
Absolutely a coin flip. Yeah, it's a close fight. I think a lot of people think he can go either way. For me, you got to look at Weili with the championship experience, the multiple 5-round fights. the different stylistic matchups that she's had, the improvements that she's made in her wrestling game. And then you look at Tatiana Suarez with just her relentless pressure with her wrestling. She's got decent striking as well, but she's going to use it to set up the wrestling there. She's got pretty good kicks as well. I think that's one of the most underrated parts in Tatiana's game. And she does use the head kick to get the fighters to basically pick their hand up, and she'll kind of shoot under there. So she's real slick with setting that up. So I'd look out for that being Weili. But the way that I see this fight, man, is, kind of what I was alluding to for Weili's breakdown, is that I kind of think that 5-round experience is going to come into play for her, where Tatiana Suarez has never been in a 5-round fight. And Tatiana Suarez, she's had a lot of time off, and sometimes that can be good for fighters. But I think for coming back, similar to what I said about Mike Davis, you're going to take a lot of time off, and then you're going to come back against one of the top, and in this case for Tatiana, the top dog in women's 115 right now, and Weili. That's a tough recipe, man. That's a tough recipe for a win, coming in against Weili like that. So I think for me personally, you look back at the Tatiana and even the Nina Ansaroff / Nina Nunes fight. There were moments where Nina had stuffed a lot of Tatiana's takedowns, and even when she was taken down, she was able to get back up there in that 3rd round and had Tatiana gassed. Now, I know Tatiana was injured in that fight. That's been a little bit of her problem, is that she's been injured a lot in her career. But hey, this is a championship fight, and if you're going to sign up on the dotted line, I'm going to assume that you're ready. And if you come in and no 5-round cardio or anything like that, I think it's Weili's for the taking, man. So I think Weili, I think she's going to basically not give away the first 2 rounds, but I think the first 2 rounds are going to be hell to storm. But I think as long as Weili gets through the first 2 rounds, Tatiana looks a little gassed there in the 3rd, I think it's Weili's fight to lose. So I think Weili ends up taking this fight. I'm going to go by decision here. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight, but I just think that Weili's experience and her strength, her cardio, I think it wills her to the win.
Fair enough. Fair. I think when this fight was first announced, me and you both were like, oh, yeah, I think we're just going to early just probably go Weili. Just she's too good. This week, D-Rose, I think I've changed my opinion just a little bit. It's still really close. But for me, it's a few things. I'm glad you pointed out like that Tatiana got hurt in like that Nina fight, because I remember after the first round, she's like grabbing here. Something was wrong in that Nina Nunes fight. Takes some time off, comes back against help me, D-Rose.
Montana De La Rosa, right?
Montana De La Rosa, yeah. Didn't look great, I guess. There was a little rust. Maybe went hard in the first, maybe showed that she was maybe gassing a little bit in the second, but then gets the guillotine. Drops down a weight class, blows through Jessica Andrade like she's absolutely nothing. There's 2 things about this fight that I could see it being 2 huge factors for this fight. And let me put on my WMMA crown here. And that is Tatiana Suarez, when she goes for guillotines a lot. And if it doesn't work, she's going to end up on her fucking back. And it's not going to be great optics. That's on the Tatiana side. On the Weili side, she might be a good offensive wrestler, dude, but her defensive wrestling is not great, dude. Yan Xiaonan took her down a few times. Rose took her down with ease, and almost like she's like just falls over. And if those 2 fighters are taking you down with ease, dude, Tatiana is going to do bad things to you. She is hands down the best wrestler in the entire division. I guess it's a what's going to happen. I'm going to bank on what I consider to be destiny, dude. The undefeated fighter going on and winning. Got my picture with Tatiana here, dude. Shout out Tatiana Suarez. I think we see and knew this weekend Tatiana Suarez fulfills her destiny and defeats Magnum Jangwei and becomes the 115-pound champion of the UFC, D-Rose. So we are split there. I know I was on Zhang earlier when it got announced, but I think this week, dude, the more that I watched it, I was like, it was the Yan Xiaonan fight. I know Weili, knocked out Yan Xiaonan. She choked her out in that fight, and she also won that fight via decision. So she won all three ways. But Yan Xiaonan was able to take down Weili easily, dude, and that's just not a good look for Tatiana. So, yeah, I'm on Tatiana Suarez to win. And to be specific, I think she submits Weili in one of the first two rounds. I think we see a round 2 Tatiana Suarez submission, and it's probably a guillotine, D-Rose, because that's what she does. I don't make sense, but she's either going to win like that or lose like that. We got how does Tatiana hold belt at 34 years old? Personally, don't think long. I think she has it for a little bit, is happy that she got it. Then maybe she moves up to 125, tries to become double champ, and then maybe retires, dude, because she has some health concerns. She's had cancer twice, beat cancer twice, had a lot of other neck injuries, knee injuries, things like that. I would just like to see something good happen because she's a good person. At least she seems to be a pretty good person. So that being said, I'm on Suarez. D-Rose is on Magnum Jangwei, and we will move on to the main event of the evening. Smash that thumbs up button for your boys, if you don't mind. We've got Dricus still knocks Duplessis taking on Sean. He's not Tarzan anymore, Strickland. Still knocks Dricus Duplessis is 22-2 overall, 31 years old, 6'1" and a 76-inch reach, while Sean Strickland is 29-6 overall, 33 years old, 6'1" and a 76-inch reach. Dricus is minus 205, your favorite. Sean Strickland is plus 170, your underdog. Over-under on this one is set at 4.5. Over 4.5 is minus 215. Under 4.5 is plus 165. I'm going to be short here. I thought Dricus clearly won that last fight. I think he's got this confidence about him now that I don't know. It's almost like he knows that he's pretty much just going to do whatever he wants with Sean this weekend. And I don't think he finishes Sean Strickland, but I just think it is a very dominant decision for Dricus Duplessis. I think he wins 4 or all 5 rounds. Give me Dricus Duplessis to win this fight via decision just by wrestling Sean Strickland, landing the more powerful shots, because Dricus knows Sean Strickland's game plan now is come in there, that awkward-ass teep kick and a jab. You can get past that. You can beat Sean Strickland, and he's already done it once. So give me Dricus Duplessis to win this fight via decision. How about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this fight, I think people gave the first fight a little bit too much crap for being a boring fight. The first fight was not boring. Was it the normal Dricus type of wild man fight? Maybe not, but
It was a normal Sean fight.
Yeah, no, exactly. I thought that 5th round was pretty fun, man. I thought when Sean actually, the problem is when Sean actually stands his ground and throws big shots, like, dude, he was landing some big shots there on Dricus in the 5th round. I thought Sean clearly won the 5th round because I think I remember we were texting at the time, and I thought Dricus was up 3 rounds to 1 going into the 5th, and I was like, man, Sean needs a big 5th round, and he absolutely went out there and delivered that. And but I think the problem is that Strickland is just, if he's moving forward, he's going to control the fight. But if he's moving back, man, the guy who's getting him to move backwards just gets him to be so defensive that he's not doing anything offensively. And I think that's what Dricus, in the biggest moments in that fight, was what he was able to do, even if he wasn't taking him down for a long time, or if his strikes weren't landing the cleanest, or whatever the case may be. He constantly has Sean Strickland on the defense, even after landing a bunch of punches. So it just looked like Dricus was just able to implement his game more. But I am with you. I think that data download from Dricus in that first fight, you're going to get an idea of what Sean is going to like to do. And I think a guy like Dricus, he's good at making adjustments in the fight. So against Rob Whitaker, against Izzy, Dricus made a lot of adjustments mid-fight in order to get to the fight where he wanted to and get the finish. I don't think he gets the finish against Sean because I think Sean Strickland's got really good defense, and I think he prioritizes not getting finished to a certain extent. So I think that Dricus is going to show the power advantage. And I like that, when Sean Strickland's trying to get Dricus to do a pact of no takedowns or whatever, and Dricus is like, dude, this is an MMA fight. Like, I mean, if I want to take you down, I'm going to take you down. And that it is what it is. Like, you're just going to have to live with it. And I think that's where Dricus is going to be able to get the win, is to mix up the takedowns with the striking as well. And I think he gets maybe not a dominant, but I think 3 rounds of 2, 4 rounds of 1. But I think after the fight, I don't think there's going to be any question on who the rightful winner is. So let's go Dricus here by decision.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you pointed something out, is like the game plans. You know what Sean Strickland does? He does it every fight. Jab, teep kick. As where Dricus, I don't think he has a game plan. I think it's just, I'm going to go in here and throw fucking wild, swinging, looping punches, and whatever happens, we'll figure it out as the fight goes.
He has said, Dricus has said on numerous occasions, like, basically, like, he does not have a game plan. He fights how he fights and basically just makes adjustments based on how the fight's playing out. And that's exactly how he fights. Like, he just comes out there, he fights one way, he sees a look, he goes back in his corner after the round, and then he makes the adjustment, and then he comes back out, and he looks better. So that's one thing that I got to give Dricus credit for, man. It might not be the cleanest, but in terms of making that change and what he needs to do to swing the fight back in his momentum, he's constantly doing that, man, and that's why he's been so successful so far in the UFC.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So with that being said, that is our predictions and picks for the entire card, prelims all the way up to the main event. We have 5 different picks. Hyung Sung Park versus Namjargal Tumundumbirel. We've got Topuria versus Colby Slickness Thickness. We've got Francisco Prado versus Jake Matthews, Adolfo Balado versus Jimmy Crute, and Tatiana Suarez versus Magnum Zhang Wei Li. That's the 5 of them. It's a pay-per-view, so hopefully this stays over here this week. I got to secure 3 of the 5 to keep the pick champ this week. But fun fights, not worth $80, but if there's a fight that you're most excited for this weekend, D-Rose, what would it be?
Sadly, I mean, you got to say outside the main event, because I think the main event would be the one that I'd say I'm most excited for, just because I do think it's the going to deliver.
Dude. I just like the co-main. I don't know why. I'm just excited for that fight.
I think the possibility of the outcomes in that fight is what makes it so exciting. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a banger, but I'm a Tatiana Suarez fan as well. I watched the Ultimate Fighter in the season that she was on when she won. When Joanna and Claudia were coaches on that season. So I have watched, Tatiana Suarez for a long time. I'm excited to see her in the title fight. And I'm definitely pulling for it this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one, dude. It's going to be a good one. Antoine said, I want to see Topuria's debut. Antoine, were you here when we were breaking down that fight? If not, I'm going you have to go back to watch, because Topuria's record is a little suspect, to say the least. Just a little bit. We we've got Dave calling out that he can beat one of the dudes that Topuria beat, and he probably could, because that dude just like, I don't even know what to say.
An absolute dork.
Yeah. With that being said, we appreciate all y'all for stopping by here, hanging out with us here tonight. If y'all haven't already, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. And you're gonna be good to go for a Change to Cheddar Friday with a cheese wheel, D-Rose.
Yep, we'll be
here. Hell yeah. Change to Cheddar Friday with the cheese wheel. We'll be here. With that being said, y'all stay safe over these next couple days, and we will see you guys Friday for Change the Cheddar. We'll give you our last-minute fight bets and picks. Let you know if anything has changed over the week. And D-Rose going to make sure to floss a bunch over the meantime. But we
got to look out for Dave here now.
Yeah. And do we think?
Hey, your dentist tells you all the time you need to floss every day. So, hey, your dentist ain't got to worry about telling me because your boy's on it.
Yeah. And I think he's going to fight Volk next, Antoine. That's me. How about you, D-Rose?
I think likely it's going to be Volk, but again, if they end up making the Islam fight, man, I'm not saying I want it to be next, but I ain't gonna be mad about it. I ain't gonna be mad.
Fair. All right. With that being said, we appreciate all y'all for stopping by here. Y'all be safe. We'll catch you guys Friday for Change the Cheddar. Until then, we'll see all of you then. Y'all be safe. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.